UFC's back at the Apex for not the best card, but we got a decent main event. And as always, plenty of good bets to make. Let's get into it. First fight of the night, we got Rongzhu taking on Chris Padilla. So Rongzhu is 25-5. This is his second stint in the UFC. Did get signed back in 2021. Went 1-2, got cut. They brought him back last year for Road to UFC. He went 3-0 on there, got a contract. Now this is his second stint. Padilla, he's 14-6. That is 1-0 in the UFC. Rongzhu has won 4 of his last 5, and 3 of those wins have come by finish. Padilla also won 4 in a row, and all 4 of those wins came by finish. Rongzhu, only 24 years old, despite having 30 pro fights already. Padilla, 28 years old. So, I'm riding with Chris Padilla here, money line, plus 240. Neither of these guys has much UFC experience, and the odds are just way too wide not to take the dog here. Plus, there's a path to victory for Padilla. Rongzhu, he's been subbed 4 times, including his last loss. Padilla's got 5 wins by sub, including 2 of his last 3 and his lone UFC fight. If you guys are looking for anything else to take, there's no props drop for this yet for whatever reason, except the over-under. It's set at 1.5. It's minus 175 for the over 1.5. Both guys have hit it in 3 of their last 5, and all 3 of Rongzhu's UFC fights have hit it. Another prop I think you guys should consider when it does drop should be plus money. Rongzhu by KO. Again, I don't have the odds on it, but 15 of his 25 wins have come by KO, and Padilla, he's been KO'd before. Next fight of the night, we got Trevor Peak taking on Yanal Ashmouz. So Peak, he's 9-2 with 1 no contest. That is 2-2 in the UFC. Ashmouz is 7-1. That is 1-1 in the UFC. Peak has won 3 of his last 5, but has lost 2 of his last 3. And pre-UFC, he had never gone the distance, and now he's gone the distance 3 fights in a row in the UFC. So I don't know what that's about. Ashmouz, he's won 4 of his last 5, but did lose his last fight a year ago. Both these guys just 29 years old. I'm going to take the over half a round, playing it safe. It's minus 550, obviously going to parlay it. But 9 of Peak's 12 pro fights have hit it, and 7 of Ashmouz's 8 pro fights have hit it. So seems pretty likely. The odds are fat, so it better fucking hit. You guys are looking for anything else to take? How about Ashmouz's money line as the dog here? Plus 110. It's a close fight. Might as well just take the dog, right? Both guys are 500 in the UFC. Ashmouz fought in legit promotions leading up to the UFC. He can mix it up a little bit, maybe takes it to the ground. I don't know. There's a path there. But otherwise, I think the most likely bet is probably Peak by decision. It's plus 225. Both of his UFC losses came to guys who are undefeated in the UFC. And his last 3 fights went the distance, including his last win. Ashmouz's lone loss came by decision. So, again, there's a path there. Looking for a prop. How about fight end KO plus 110? 8 of Peak's 9 wins have come by KO, and 4 of Ashmouz's 7 wins have come by KO. That's 75% combined of their fights have ended by KO. But neither of them has been KO'd before, so there's the caveat there. Next fight of the night, we got Matt Schnell taking on Alessandro Costa. So Schnell is 16-8 with 1 no contest. That is 6-6 with 1 no contest in the UFC. Costa is 14-4. That is 2-2 in the UFC. Schnell has lost 4 of his last 5 and was finished pretty brutally in his last 3 losses. Costa's won 3 of his last 5, and both of those losses came to top contenders in Amir Albazi and Steve Erceg. Schnell is 34 years old. It's crazy that Schnell's 34 because we've been seeing this kid since he was on MTV at like 16. Anyways, Schnell's 34. Costa is 28. I'm riding with Alessandro Costa money line here, minus 485. Hefty price to pay, but already mentioned he's only really lost the top guys, and Schnell's been brutally finished in 2 straight, including earlier this year. I think Schnell needs to retire, but could be wrong. Looking for anything else to take? How about the over 1.5? It's plus 140. Schnell's hit it in 3 of his last 6, and Costa's also hit it in 3 of his last 6. This one probably doesn't go long, but you're getting a flyweight fight at plus money, over 1.5. Kind of worth taking. Looking for anything else to take? How about a parlay piece? Costa by finish. It's minus 335. Not even that much cheaper than the money line. So I don't love it. But 11 of his 14 wins have come by finish. And I've mentioned Schnell's been finished like crazy. But 7 of his 8 losses have come by finish, including all 6 of his UFC losses. So Yikes. Up next, we got Steve Garcia taking on Kyle Nelson. So Garcia is 16-5. That is 5-2 in the UFC. Nelson is 16-5-1. That is 4-4-1 in the UFC. Garcia has won 4 straight, all by knockout. Nelson did start his UFC career pretty poorly. He went 1-4-1, but since then has won 3 straight, brought it back to 500. So he's on a nice little run. Garcia is 32 years old. Nelson is 33 years old. I again am playing it safe here. Not that safe, but over half a round, minus 230. I say not that safe because Garcia's hit it in 4 of his 7 UFC fights. That's not that good. Nelson's hit it in 7 of his 9 UFC fights. So 69% of their combined UFC fights have just gone longer than 2 minutes, 30 seconds. So parlaying that as well. Get to it later. You know the drill. But you guys looking for anything else to take over 1.5 plus 150? 42% of their combined pro fights have hit it. But Garcia's only hit it once in the UFC in 7 fights, but Nelson's hit it in 5 of his last 6 fights. So it's one of those like this guy goes long, this guy doesn't. Pick your poison. I like an over 1.5 at plus money, though. I think someone should hop on that. Looking for anything else to take Garcia money line as a parlay piece. He's minus 180. He's got heavy hands. All 5 of his UFC wins have come by knockout, and his last 8 wins have come by knockout. Nelson's been knocked out twice in the UFC. Speaking of Garcia by knockout, maybe you want to take that, get a little extra off the bottom. Minus 140, 13 of his 16 wins have come by knockout. And I just mentioned Kyle's been knocked out before. Maybe you want to play the Kyle Nelson side, though. Take him by decision, plus 650. 4 of his last 5 went to decision, and 2 of his last 3 wins were by decision. And 3 of Garcia's 5 career losses have come by decision. Next fight of the night, co-main, we got Jessica Andrade taking on Natalia Silva. So Andrade, she's 26-12. She's fought at 3 different weight classes in the UFC. Overall, she is 17-10 in the UFC. That is 4-3 at bantamweight, 10-5 at strawweight, and 3-2 at flyweight. Her last 4 fights have been at strawweight, but this fight back up at flyweight. Silva, she's 17-5-1, 5-0 in the UFC. Andrade has lost 3 of her last 5, but she's also won 2 in a row. Silva, she's won 11 straight, 8 of those by finish. Andrade, 32 years old. Silva still only 27. I'm taking the over half a round again here, playing it real safe, minus 675. But I'm parlaying it with the over half a round in peak Ashmouz, Costa money line, and the over half a round in Garcia Nelson. All 4 of those together, it's plus 135. Don't love a 4-leg parlay, but I like the odds on that. 4 of Andrade's last 5 have hit the over half a round, and 19 of Silva's 23 pro fights have hit it. You guys are looking for anything else to take? I almost took this. Andrade as a dog, money line, plus 240. Her 2 losses at flyweight came to the former champ and the number 3 ranked flyweight. Her 3 wins at flyweight all came to ranked opponents at the time of their fights. Silva's 5-0 in the UFC, but only fought 2 ranked opponents. This could be upset city here. Looking for anything else to take? How about the over 2.5 in a parlay, minus 125? Andrade has only hit it 10 times in 27 UFC fights, but Silva's hit it in 3 of her 5 UFC fights. That's 41% of their combined have hit the over 2.5. Main event, we got Gilbert Burns taking on Sean Brady. So durinho is 22-7. That is 15-7 in the UFC, 7-3 at lightweight, and 8-4 at welterweight. Brady is 16-1. That is 6-1 in the UFC. Burns has lost 3 of his last 5, including 2 in a row, but they all came to top 5 guys at welterweight. Brady has won 4 of his last 5. His only career loss came to the champ, Bilal Muhammad. Burns getting up there in age, 38 years old. Brady, 31. I'm riding with durinho here. Money line, plus 164. He's only lost to 2 champions and 2 top 5 guys at welterweight. I mean, come on. Is Brady a future champion or a top 5 guy? Possibly. We're yet to find out. But Brady does not currently have a win over anyone that's currently ranked at welterweight. I believe his lone win at the time was Michael Chiesa. Chiesa ain't ranked anymore, okay? You guys are looking for anything else to take? The over-under set at 3.5, but Brady's never been scheduled for 5 rounds in the UFC, so we obviously don't know if he would have hit that in other fights. But 3 of his 7 UFC wins have gone the distance. Gilbert has hit the over 3.5 in 2 of the 3 5-rounders that he was scheduled for, so it could hit. Anything else to take though? Brady by decision, +150. 3 of his 6 UFC wins have come by decision, and 8 of his 16 pro wins have come by decision.
I'm worth 100,000 like Woodrow. When a ball call me Wilson, going overboard at the Hilton.